Hey guys, it's your girl Tara Crush back with another review, and this time it is for the Handmaid's Tales. Oh my goodness, why y'all didn't? Oh my goodness. Okay, so if you haven't already, please hit my subscribe button. Thank you. Now, this was a lot. Now, people have been telling me about the Handmaid's Tales for years, and you heard like, I don't know if that's for me. I don't know, but people kept asking me to review it on my channel, and so I said, well, let me see what it's about. I said I will always give it at least one season, and I gave it a season, and I love it. 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 I want more of it. I want more of it. I want more of it. I'm so glad I've got more seasons ahead of me that I can binge watch and binge watch and binge watch. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do is get through the basics of what happened this season. And maybe next season I can split it in half and do the first half and do the second half, because the writing is definitely fulfilling in this series and I'm loving it, loving it, loving it. Okay, so basically, what this is about is a lot of war went down. There is no more America. Basically, the right wing took over. They basically took out the House, took out Congress, then took out the White House, and then took out the Supreme Court. So they took out all three branches of government and basically said we basically gonna make the rules. And so the rules basically come down to, if you are a fertile woman, you would be enslaved and you would be making babies, because we have put too much in the atmosphere for babies to be able to be born under regular conditions. So we're going to condense everybody into one area and try to repopulate the nations. Now, it ain't just America that has lost their ability to reproduce. Surrounding countries have as well. So it's a big deal to actually devise a plan to actually, create new life, because it's been years for a lot of countries before since they've seen an actual new birth. So the country is aging without any repopulation. And so that's like first key to a lot of places. So what we have is June. June was basically in a relationship with a guy named Luke. She was introduced to Luke by her friend Maura. Maura didn't know him, but she just kind of picked him out of the crowd and asked him a question, and that's how he and June met. Well, they wound up kicking it. They liked each other a lot. They kept it smooth at first because he was married, but they wound up having sex, and then they kept having sex, and they kept having sex, and she told him she wanted him to leave his wife, and he said, okay, okay, I'm leaving. And he left her. And so they stayed together, and she couldn't believe it that he would even leave his wife that easily, but he did. Now, Maura, she had been knowing Maura since college. So they were very, very, very tight. And, when all of this went down, basically it was decided that they were going to attack the government and they were going to take over. And basically it became like a cult, because if you had babies, they knew you was fertile. You was going to be a handmaid. If they found out you was fertile, you was going to be a handmaid. So that was the thing, and the handmaids basically got placed into homes of prominent people and basically made babies for them. Their wives were sterile and couldn't have babies, so the handmaids were sent to make the babies. So June was sent to a commander's home, and with his wife's name is Serena. She's evil as hell. Serena's evil. Okay, so basically, um, June gets there and she's trying to figure out what the heck is going on, because she's not feeling it, because how they did it was they rounded everybody up. They rounded all the females up. They fired them, made sure every employer knew to fire every female. You cannot employ a female. Took all their rights, basically, and treated them like the enslaved were treated in colonial times. So it was weird, because she goes to get some coffee and her card is declined. She's like, no way it's declined. And basically all the money was basically frozen. They froze female bank accounts. They basically froze property that females own, because you couldn't hold property if you was a female. You had to find a man to take over the property. They basically froze them out and was like, nope, we're going to basically control you guys. And so they put a lot of armed men all over the street with these army guns. So if you step out of line, they're going to shoot you. And they had everybody, whatever your role was, you had to dress for that role. And so the handmaids had these red cloaks and white hoods, white helmet thingies that they had to wear on their heads that made me think old Tammy. And it's really set in the future, but when you look at it, you kind of think it makes you think it was like before times because first of all, June's commander looked like Abraham Lincoln. He just looked like Abraham Lincoln all the way up and down. There's no way around it. He looked like Abraham Lincoln. He gave me Lincoln vibes. So that throws me off. And then, Serena, she's always wearing these big show things with these. I don't get it. I don't get her style. I don't get her hair. I don't get it. If it's supposed to be futuristic, it sure enough feels like 1800. But so the commander starts to seduce. Before I get there, let me just say all the ladies didn't acclimate to this system the way they were expected to. And I'll tell you about a couple of them. We had Off Warren. Off Warren was kind of crazy. Woohoo. And she was very fertile though, so she made a baby rather quickly for her family. But she was also being seduced by her commander. Her commander told her that they were going to run off together and be together, and she really believed him. So she was, she had the baby, and she might have to breastfeed the baby, but she was actually trying to bond with the baby because she felt like her and her husband was going to be she felt like her and the commander was going to be leaving, and he was going to definitely take care of her. And all of this was temporary. So she it wasn't until she actually had the baby for them and got reassigned to another family that she realized after they made her have sex with the new commander. She was like, no, my commander's coming to get me. And she went crazy and went back and kidnapped her baby and tried to kill the baby. So, but she didn't get to because June took the baby and then she jumped and she got in trouble because you can't endanger a baby. And I'll tell you about that in a little while. So another one was Off Glenn. Off Glenn was gay. She was gay and she was a rebel. She was definitely trying to figure out how to break the whole system. And they figured out that she was gay and had an actual wife and figured out who the wife was. And the wife was sterile. So since the wife was sterile, she was murdered and she was murdered in front of Off Glenn. And they basically took Off Glenn and drugged her up and took her clitoris. They said, honey, that is against God's rule. You cannot be gay. So we're going to take from you what you desire. So they took her clitoris and she kind of lost her man a little bit. But, and then Moira, she wasn't going to acclimate to the system either. So she tried to run off. She got caught. And by her getting caught, she had a choice to either go to the colonies, which is where you go to die, basically, or she could go to the Jezebels. And Jezebels was a brothel where women just had to, they were sterile, so they couldn't have babies, but they just had to, they were just there to sell their bodies, basically. They got free drugs, free alcohol, free food, free place to live, but they were whores. They couldn't leave. They couldn't go anywhere, so they didn't have a choice. But to her, it was better than being a handmaid. So she felt like she was kind of free a little bit, so she dealt with it. Well, in the process of June's commander trying to seduce her, he done took her to the after his wife went to see her mother, he done took June to the doggone brothel, gave her a dress, heels, everything, so she could feel beautiful. And that's where she sees Mora. And they have a conversation or whatever. Well, she gets with another girl, Alma, back at the base, and she's basically trying to get with Mayday. Mayday is supposed to be doing something to break the system. And they tell her that they need her to go back to the brothel and get a package. And so she convinces the commander to take her to the brothel. Made him think it was his idea though. She's real slick. And she gets the package or whatever. So she comes back and eventually his wife finds out about it because she found the dress because there was makeup on her cloak because June would have to use her cloak to get out of the neighborhood because women couldn't even travel so far. Didn't matter who you was, even if you was the commander's wife, you couldn't, certain women you couldn't go certain distances. And so she would have to hide or whatever. And so the wife was mad, found out about it, and smacked the crap out of June. Boom. And told her, I trusted you and this is what you did to me or whatever. And then gave her a pregnancy test and found out she was pregnant. And that's the only thing that saved June. That was the only thing that saved her. Now, Soon after that, she took June on a ride, didn't tell her where she was going. They get to a house, and June's in the back seat. The car is locked. She can't get out. But basically, Serena goes to see her, puts her daughter out on the porch, and she can see her daughter, but can't say nothing to her. So she loses her mind. She's like, "You an evil cunt. You this, you that, you that." And she was like, "Yeah, well, just know this: if you kill my baby, I kill yours." And because she was evil, they right wing evil people, I guess. But so Mara decided after she got uh torn up one way and down the other by June, telling her, "I don't know why you quit. Why did you give up? It seems like you just gonna settle into this life like you're not a fighter." Told her she needed to fight, and basically Morgan found herself in Canada, so she found her way to freedom, and wind up they have a system that if you make it to Canada, if you got any family there and your name comes up, they will alert the family to come and get you. And Luke came and got her because he had her on his list, and so when she showed up, he showed up, and so she was very happy to see him. Um, Off Glenn, off Warren, I'm sorry. Off Warren got herself in trouble, remember, trying to kill herself and trying to kill the baby. June got the baby and saved the baby, but she got put in a hospital and then got pulled in front of the handmaids. Now, they had a very strict policies. Like if you broke any laws, like if you did anything with the handmaids you ain't have no business doing, they gonna hang you in the manner on the wall for everybody to see, for them to walk by and see all the dead bodies. And basically, what the handmaids didn't know is that the commanders were working on a trade deal, and they didn't really understand the trade deal. Well, the trade deal was for them, for the fertile women, so that they could go to these other countries and make babies for them. It is so much going. It was so much going on with the script, but she found out about it and about the plan, and decided that she wasn't gonna she was going to fight against it. Well, when they sent all them people out, they sent all the handmaids out to a meeting, and they had them all form in a circle, and then they brought off Warren into the circle. So basically, because she endangered a baby, her punishment was supposed to be stoning, death by stoning. And they was all coming up together, for years, and they were all friends, and it was wrong for them people to think that all of them girls was gonna stone their friend. And June was like, nope. She dropped her stone like it's boop, like she might drop. And then all the rest of them did too, so they sent them home, said there would be consequences. And so June went home, and eventually they came. And when the driver came, imagine she done fell in love with the driver. The driver is very trusted by the commander and his wife, but the wife basically told June, early on, that she didn't think her husband could have no babies, and she didn't want, June to get sent to the colony. So told June that she needed to start having sex with the driver, because the driver could probably make babies, and that a way she could have a baby and still be in good graces and not have to go back to the colonies. So she started having sex with the driver, and she started liking it a whole lot, because she felt like that way she had control over her sexuality. Now, mind you, she's still supposed to be with Luke, but she think Luke's dead, because when she got captured with her daughter, Luke was also, she heard some gunshots and she figured they killed him, because she never saw him again. So she found out when the Mexican officials came to see about the handmaids and how everything was working, how their setup was. She told them that they were abused, that they could be murdered if they tried to leave, and all of this stuff. And the female commander was like, "There's nothing I can do for you, baby. I'm sorry." But the male commander was like, "I know your husband. Write a message down for him." And she wrote that she loved him very much, and it really touched him when he got that. So I'm gonna sit here for a second to make sure there wasn't anything else major besides, the martial law, the no United States, Gilead, or whatever they call the place, is where It's kind of New England, like where I'm at right now, and it's where they were. So they weren't too far from Canada, but it's far if you on foot. But Moira definitely got herself freed. Um, yeah, it's that's about all I want to cover on this first season. But again, it's a lot, and I'm sure there's things that happened that I didn't cover that I will cover on the second season. Y'all know how I do. It'll be a little bit more organized the second time around, but this was a very good series, and I really, really, really appreciate y'all recommending it to me. And I'm about to dive right into season two, but I got another review to do. Hopefully, I do that before I go into season two. Because if I don't, I'm probably gonna do the first half of season two before I do that review, and I should have been did that review. So I do apologize, but thank you all again for recommending The Handmaid's Tales to me because I will be watching this, and I'm glad that there's 4 seasons, and I'm glad it gives me something to do while my other shows are on hiatus. That is my $5.02. Peace.